Hello and welcome to another edition of Apartment Living Radio. Today's broadcast will be a little longer than our usual podcast episodes because we're going to take some of the highlights of the last while and share them with you all together. We've had such a response from the bedbugs episodes that we're going to consolidate them all here for your listening pleasure. If there is a pleasurable aspect to listening to the topic of bedbugs, it would be that the information presented is very good, and we hope that you enjoy it. So let's join this episode already in progress.
Apartment Living Radio.
On this episode of Apartment Living Radio, bedbugs. This episode of Apartment Living Radio, what are bedbugs? What do they do? How do you get them? And how do you get rid of them? Bedbugs. They make you think of bedtime as a kid. Don't let the bedbugs bite, your mom would say. You never really worried about bedbugs before, but in the past few years, bedbugs have become a huge problem, and apartment communities are not immune to this. There are certain things you should understand as a renter that could help you prevent an infestation. First of all, what are bedbugs? Well, bedbugs are small parasitic insects that feed on human and animal blood. They reside mainly in places where people sleep and spend extended amounts of time, mostly like beds and couches and recliners and so forth. Adult bedbugs are light to reddish brown. They're flat and they're oval shaped. They reach only 4 to 5 millimeters in length, and they can survive a wide range of climates, and they can live a long time, up to a year, between feedings. They're attracted to the warmth and carbon dioxide given off by the human body, and they're very difficult to detect. What do bedbugs do? Well, they bite into the human skin and they feed on the blood. This can cause symptoms from skin rash and irritation to allergic reactions or even psychological issues. They often hide in seams and crevices of furniture and clothing, and they're most often found in large groups in infestations. How do you get bedbugs? Well, either you've had them for a while and they've gone undetected, or they came in through the vents or other crevices between units in a multi-unit building, or you carried them in from vacation or traveling, or they could have ridden in on new or used furniture. Yes, I did say new furniture. If your new furniture was delivered in a truck that hauls old furniture back to the factory, that's a place they can climb on. You can also carry them in on clothes or bedding, linen, other such items. Bedbugs are hard to get rid of because they're hard to detect. They're hard to detect because they're very small and they're often nocturnal. Look for small blood spots or bug skins and other such things on mattresses and couches, as well as look for bites and rashes on the body. Bedbugs are also hard to get rid of with chemicals. The most effective treatment currently is heat, but that's not even 100%. Your best plan of attack against bedbugs is to try to prevent them. On our next episode, we're going to have P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians to tell us how to keep bedbugs from coming into our lives, or what to do if we have to get rid of them. That's the next issue of Apartment Living Radio. Join the conversation by finding us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/apartmentlivingradio or on Twitter at APT Living Radio. To subscribe to this podcast, find us on iTunes.
Apartment Living Radio.
Yes, we are live on Apartment Living Radio right now. It is Saturday, and we're recapping some of our best episodes so far. And today's topic is about bed bugs. We do have a sponsor to introduce to you. They are treeshell.com. We'll be back right after this word from them.
When you need a case for your computer, treeshell.com. Or your iPhone, iPad, and iPod, treeshell.com. When you need a case for your Kindle device, nobody makes one near as nice as treeshell.com. For elegant products made from wood, nobody makes them near as good as treeshell.com.
Treeshell.com. Treeshell.com, one of our premier sponsors here on Apartment Living Radio. You can find them at their website, which is treeshell.com, and they make some really unique protections for electronic devices. One of our favorite product companies here. Well, we are going to go now to an episode where we talk to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. The first problem in solving a bed bug problem is identifying whether you have the problem or not. So we're going to go now to that episode, Identifying Bed Bugs.
Apartment Living Radio.
In this episode of Apartment Living Radio, how to identify bed bugs. Of Olson Pest Technicians. He's a second-generation pest management professional with more than 20 years of experience. Welcome to the show, PR.
Good day. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're talking about an important topic, and I know it's one that you've got a lot of experience in, bed bugs.
Sure. We deal with people calling into our office every day on bed bugs.
Now, today's topic on Apartment Living Radio is going to be identification of bed bugs. You have said identifying bed bugs is one of the most important components for getting rid of them. How do you help somebody identify if they've even got the problem?
Well, the first thing is we always take calls. People are saying, oh, we've got bites. We've got bed bugs, so we need you to come do a treatment and so forth. The first step we always want to do is properly ID what we're dealing with. So we'll talk with the customer. Have they had anybody come visit? Have they went anywhere to visit people? And just see if there's a way that they transported a bed bug into their home. Now, there's also other things that could be causing bites and irritations and rashes and so forth. Could be fleas, it could be dust mites, it could be scabies, those type of issues.
So you're trying to help somebody identify, first of all, whether it is bed bugs and if they've had a method of transporting them into their residence. What do you do when you are trying to help them identify that problem a little more specifically?
If we're specifically talking about bed bugs, well, the first place we want the customer to look is actually in the bed. So we always tell people if they can get a sample of the insect, that's you're a long ways ahead of the game if you have a sample of an insect to look at. The main thing we start looking at is when we're starting to look on the bed, on the mattress, on the box spring, those type of areas, we're really looking for fecal material. Fecal material on a light colored mattress is easy to spot. It's just little black dots.
That's one of the primary ways of finding out if there is a bed bug problem. Look on the bed. Look for the telltale signs of bed bugs being there.
Correct. When we look for these, we're looking for those black spots, and they can be anywhere from darkish brown to red spots for that fecal material. And most times we're going to find that on the bedding or on the furniture.
Why are they called bed bugs?
Oh, they're bed bugs because most cases they're going to get a blood meal from somebody in a bed. So that's specifically why they're bed bugs, because you're going to find them close to that bed. We all remember when we were little kids and we'd get tucked into bed and don't let the bed bugs bite. Well, it's actually coming back to be true now.
If they do squish them with your shoe and fry them up for breakfast in the morning, it's more than just a colloquialism now. It's an actual problem for lots of people.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's looking for that fecal material is a telltale sign. Finding the actual live bugs is a telltale sign. Also, we find spots to where we can actually, the bed bugs will basically grow out of their skins, and so you'll see the skin remnants can also be found. So the old casts of the bed bugs as they grow up, you'll see them.
Tell me more about the skin remnants. They shed their skins?
Correct. As they go from egg to larvae to adult, there's various levels of growth there, and as they grow, they shed their skins. So it's just like almost like a snake skin. As that snake grows larger, it has to get rid of its exterior skin. And same thing with bed bugs. So you'll see some of these old cast skins that the bed bugs are casting off as they're growing.
Maybe it would be important to tell our listeners how big the bed bugs get as an adult. How many would fit, say, on the face of a dime?
Oh, face of a dime. You're going to have various sizes of bed bugs as they're growing, as they're getting to that adult stage. So you could easily put 15 to 20 bed bugs on a dime. What bed bugs actually look like is they're small, brown or tan, flat, oval-shaped insects. In most cases, they're going to be less than a quarter-inch long as adults. The eggs are even tinier than that, and they look to be white oval shaped. So they're going to look like a rice, except a lot smaller than a grain of rice.
So it's not like some insects that you can clearly tell they're there because they're present and they're in the room and you can see them. You're going to have to look pretty hard to see them if you're not looking right at them, right?
You're going to have to look extremely hard. A low-level infestation of bed bugs is just nearly impossible to locate. Very tough to find a very low-level infestation of bed bugs.
Well, we've been talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians about bed bugs and how to identify them. Getting bed bugs to show their ID when they enter your residence is a big challenge, and since they hitchhike everywhere they go, they have a tendency to sneak into a residence rather than to announce their presence, or their arrival for that matter. So we've appreciated P.R. Olson's expert advice here. We're going to pick up next episode with what bed bug bites look like. Next time on Apartment Living Radio. Join the conversation. Our website is apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find the show notes for this series, connect to our Facebook and Twitter accounts, and even subscribe to this station on iTunes. Join us there.
Apartment Living Radio.
Identifying bed bugs. That's what we're on right now. And again, I want to repeat our web address and our social media presence. We can be found at facebook.com/apartmentlivingradio. We're on Twitter at aptlivingradio. Our web address is apartmentlivingradio.com. And if you'd like to call into the program, we're at 612-56-RADIO. So give us a call if you have any comments for the broadcast or anything like that. You can leave us a message there. So on to identifying bed bugs, part 2.
Apartment Living Radio.
In this episode of Apartment Living Radio, Identifying Bed Bugs, Part 2. Identifying Bed Bugs, Part 2 is our topic today. We've been talking about ways to identify bed bugs and determine if you've got a low-level or high-level infestation. And we've been talking with P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians about this. Getting bed bugs to show their identification when they enter your residence is a big challenge. Since they hitchhike everywhere they go, they have a tendency to sneak in rather than announce their presence. Low-level infestations of bedbugs are very hard to find, and often a bedbug bite won't show up for a period of 1 to 2 days after a person gets bit. These delayed warning signs are another part of what makes it difficult to identify a bedbug problem. So we go back now to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. P.R., tell us about the bites of a bedbug. Are they rashes, itchy? How do they manifest themselves?
Everyone reacts differently to bites, whether it's bedbug bites, flea bites, or the like. They might not be visible on some people. For others, a small red irritation or itchy spot will appear. Bed bugs, the big thing with a bed bug bite is they're not known to carry any type of diseases. So we want to make sure people understand that. They're not going to require medical attention for a bed bug bite. There's no diseases associated with that. It really comes down to just being an irritation. It's just about like anything. When we don't sleep well, life is not good. And so that's why we need to get these insects controlled.
So identifying the problem often comes with some detective work on your part, if I understand right. Tell us about the inspection process.
When we come out and do inspections, we are going pretty much straight to the bedrooms. We're going to check that the mattress. We're going to check the box spring. We're going to check the bed frame. We're going to check nightstands, those type of areas. We are not going to get more than 3 feet away from that bed in most cases.
So if a bed bug or two come in on your suitcase, how do they know how to find the bedroom in your house?
Well, most cases they're going to hitchhike and you're going to take that piece of luggage into your bedroom to unload it. That's the first way. The other thing is bed bugs are drawn to our body heat and to the carbon dioxide that we exhale. So that is how they find the bedrooms.
So if they get within a few feet of your bed when you bring them in on your luggage, inadvertently, accidentally, unintentionally, and you lay down to go to sleep, they sense the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and they say, oh, hey, we're home.
Yes.
It's an absolutely fascinating creature, but it's not really a pleasant fascination, is it?
That is correct.
I have a question regarding where they most like to live. Do they like $1 million home, or do they like a 25-year-old trailer house, or do they discriminate at all?
Bed bugs are non-discriminating. You will find them in trailer houses. You will find them in modular homes. You will find them in apartment houses. You will find them in $500,000 homes. They are non-discriminating. So we find them in all types of homes. They are not discriminating on sanitation conditions inside homes. So if a person's clean, you can still get bed bugs. It's not about how clean you are. It's just traveling and carrying things around. We are such a mobile society anymore. It's very easy for us to carry these things back and forth to and fro places. Most cases when we talk to people about transporting bed bugs, we always tell people it seems like when we travel, we need to make sure we keep our luggage on hard surfaced areas. So if we keep it in on the tile floor in the bathroom, that will help.
Maybe we could speak to that in just a general sense. The whole premise of prevention may be answering some of the wrong questions, because you've addressed that it's not a question of hygiene or sanitation or cleanliness conditions within a home and apartment structure. It doesn't speak really to financial strata. They don't really discriminate whether they're in an old trailer house or a new construction, a very expensive home. So prevention may be more of an awareness of how they travel. If you do travel, like you said, put your suitcase in the tile floor on the bathroom instead of right on the bed when you get to a hotel.
A person just needs to be vigilant in assessing their surrounding, especially when traveling. We just need to pay attention to those type of things. In hotel rooms, keeping our luggage on hard surfaces like the tile floor in the bathrooms. Pull down the bed covers at night and look for movement or spots on the sheets. When returning from a trip, inspect your luggage and clothes for bed bugs. And then even before you bring your luggage into your home, just vacuum it out thoroughly. We always have to remember that these things are hitchhikers. They can be carried in on anything really, specifically to a bedroom. So they could fall into your purses or bags. They can move on furniture that's near that bedroom. They just get moved around like that.
That's a fascinating organism. How fast do they multiply? And how many would it take to really have an infestation in a short period of time?
Really, when you talk about bed bugs, one bed bug is too many bed bugs. When we talk about breeding and so forth, their temperatures that they do their best at is somewhere between 80 and 90 degrees. So most cases, homes do not get that warm and that humid where they really take off and start breeding. So that's always something we look at. Like I said, most cases when people are contacting Olson Pest Technicians, it's only the beginning. So we're dealing with a small infestation, a very small pocket of them.
ID, ID, ID. Identification is key to bedbug eradication. We've been talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians about this, and he'll join us on a future episode to talk more about identification and subsequently treatment options. We'll have more information available on our show notes page at Apartment Living Radio. Join the conversation. Our website is apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find the show notes for this series, connect to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and even subscribe to this station on iTunes. We look forward to your visit. We look forward to your comments and your participation. Thanks for joining us on Apartment Living Radio.
Apartment Living Radio.
I'd like to echo that sentiment. We're glad that you're here with us right now. We're recapping some of the best content for Apartment Living Radio regarding bed bugs. And today we're talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. They are located in Yankton, South Dakota, but they have a national coverage audience, so they can help you if you've got problems. Call 1-800-KILL-BUGS. That's KILBUGS, 1-800-KILL-BUGS, or their website is 1-800-KILLBUGS.com. That's again 1-800-KILBUGS.com. P.R. Olson has been our guest on the broadcast thus far. I'd like to introduce another sponsor. We're going to be talking to them more at length on another edition of Apartment Living Radio about check deposit solutions for apartment property managers and property management companies. This is their jingle. This is iDepositChecks.com.
Well, let us do the driving at iDepositChecks.com. Let us do the driving at iDepositChecks.com. We've got simplified banking solutions. Do your deposit from anywhere. All you need is our little scanner. And iDeposit Checks will take your deposit without a care. And iDepositChecks.com. iDepositChecks.com. Apartment Living Radio.
On this episode of Apartment Living Radio, Bedbug ID Part 3. We've been talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians about identifying bed bugs and how important it is to identify bed bugs in order to eradicate the problem or simply get rid of the nuisance. Specifically in apartment homes, what do you find most often to be a key component in identifying bed bugs in apartments?
If a person can communicate with their neighbors, build a relationship with their neighbors, and communication is the biggest thing on these things. If they can communicate amongst themselves, just finding out if they're having types of issues like that. Most cases when we find issues on apartments is in the bedrooms, and most apartments are set up to where headboards in one apartment with an adjacent wall to the next apartment also has a headboard against it. So those type of situations are really things we like to inspect. So when you have headboard to headboard like that in apartments, if you have one unit with bed bugs, they will go right through that wall into the next unit possibly. We need to be vigilant on doing the inspections on those apartments.
I want to go back to this. Is there potentially a delayed warning sign? You might not notice a bite for a couple days. What were you talking about? This is identifying the problem, and it's very hard to find a low infestation because they don't always stand up and yell, "We're here," right away.
Correct. Most cases when people get bit by a bed bug, that bite will not show up for a couple days. People think of like mosquito bites that I start seeing that welt right now. A bed bug bite will not happen like that. You're going to go possibly a couple days before you start seeing that.
So by the time you've got people calling your office saying, "Hey, we've got bites," then you've really got to do some detective work to determine, number one, if it is bed bugs. But you know that if it is bed bugs, that they've been present at least a couple days.
Correct.
That's why you ask, well, have you been on a trip recently? Did somebody come over for a visit? You're looking for any way that they would have been potentially transported into a non-bed bug environment.
Correct.
Very interesting.
Another great avenue for information is pestworld.org. That's put on by the National Pest Management Association. And that's a great website for getting information.
Pestworld.org. We'll put that in the show notes, PR, so that our listeners can go and find that. The show notes page on apartmentlivingradio.com for the bedbug series. Join the conversation. Our website is apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find the show notes for this series, including those resources we've been discussing, like pestworld.org. You can connect to our Facebook and Twitter pages and even subscribe to this station on iTunes.
Apartment Living Radio.
We'll be back in just a moment with treatment options for bed bugs. In the meantime, enjoy this song called Farm Fresh. And we'll be back in about 3 minutes with the next part of the broadcast. Treatment options for bed bugs. Don't go away. That is Farm Fresh, and we hope that you're enjoying these Farm Fresh ideas here from Apartment Living Radio. We are talking about bed bugs. Today's broadcast is called Don't Let the Bed Bugs Bite, and we are talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. We go now to some treatment options to this pre-recorded segment.
Apartment Living Radio.
Episode of Apartment Living Radio, treatment of bed bugs. All right, we're going live now to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians, and we're going to be talking specifically about treatment options for bed bugs on today's Apartment Living Radio. PR, how are things out in your neck of the woods?
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing great. We're talking about treatment today. In our previous episode, we talked about identifying bed bugs and identifying whether you've got a problem. Today, let's shift focus a little bit. We're talking on today's episode about treatment options for bed bugs. PR, how are things in your neck of the woods?
Good day. I'm doing well. How about yourself, Craig?
We're doing great. We talked in a previous episode about identifying bed bugs and identifying whether you've got bed bugs in your residence or in your apartment. And we're going to shift focus a little bit today to some treatment options. PR, you recently sent your service management tech to a bed bug boot camp?
Yes, our service manager went to Bedbug Central. They are a pest control company based out of New Jersey that are helping pest control companies just learn what's innovative and what's really working with bedbug control. So we sent our team member down to Kansas City and went through their bedbug boot camp.
Say that 5 times fast and you can get a prize. Bedbug boot camp. So that's just your way of staying on the cutting edge of pest control, specifically to dealing with bed bugs.
Yes, we went to this boot camp, and the big thing that they're telling us is it's very important to do treatment within 2 to 3 feet of the spot where they're getting the blood meal at, and that's the bed. So our treatment's really going to be within 2 feet of that bed.
You had said that you're going to focus on a 2 to 3 foot radius right around the bed in a bedroom, and that's the best place to start the treatment of bed bugs. Give us some of your insights, PR, on how to do this.
You bet. Most cases, we're on a low-level infestation. We're going to do a chemical treatment for the bed bugs, and we're going to be using some liquid products. We're also going to be using some dust products. And then the other thing that we find that works real well in conjunction with this treatment is bed bug encasements that we put on the mattresses and box springs. We will not put a chemical product on a mattress or box spring, so that's why we use these encasements. It's basically a cover that you put on the mattress or the box spring that the bed bugs can't get out of. First of all, they can't get out of if those things are infested, or once we put them on, the bed bugs can't get in.
And if they can't get in, they can't live successfully without their source of food, so they will move on to something else. Is that the general idea?
That is correct. Yeah, those bed bugs, they need that blood meal, and if we can keep them from getting that blood meal, they will cease to exist.
That sounds like a real positive thing. If you've got bed bugs, cause them to cease to exist. I'm sure that's a very popular topic in among the people that you're working with who have got a low-level infestation. Is there a different approach if it's gotten to a higher level infestation?
If we start talking about higher levels of infestation, then we can also do a thermal treatment or a heat treatment on a home, on an apartment, on a motel room.
What does that entail? How does that look? What needs to be done in order for that to be successful?
When you start talking about using a heat treatment, if you take any insect or bug and you put it in an environment where it's about 120, 122 degrees, that insect or bug will cease to exist as well. It will die. Same thing with an egg for those insects or other bugs. If the egg is there at 122 degrees, it will die as well. So when we start talking about doing a heat treatment, we come in and we basically make a room a convection oven where we put a heater in there and a fan, and we raise the ambient temperature inside that room up to about 130 degrees, and we hold it there for about a half hour.
That's not quite hot enough to bake chocolate chip cookies, but it's certainly hot enough to kill any insect population.
Most cases we find anything that they're worried about putting on the dashboard of their car in the middle of summertime, they need to be concerned about inside the home. We're talking 130 degrees. A lot of hot summer days this year, we've gotten up to 100 degrees. So we're talking about another 30 degrees over on top of the hottest day we've had this summer.
In preparing a room for this treatment, you want to just remove anything that you think would be sensitive to heat. Probably your Jell-O salad you're going to take to the potluck later. That's got to go out of the room or back into the fridge.
Yeah, or those special wedding candles.
Oh, wedding candles, probably a book of photographs you might want to move off to a different room.
Photographs should be okay.
Photos should be okay. It's not going to take the finish off of your kitchen table and crack it or something like that.
Not at all. We are gradually raising the temperature over several hours, so it's not going to be anything real extreme.
And you've found that to be an effective tool in the treatment belt, but may not be 100% effective by itself either, right?
Definitely, yep.
Tell me a little bit more about other treatment options.
You bet. The two tools that we're going to use at this point in time for bed bugs is a chemical treatment or a heat treatment. We can do both. It just kind of depends on that level of infestation. We are still getting control of these bugs with chemical applications. They're still working, that type of thing. If we start talking about having higher levels of infestation, or if we start seeing bed bugs in couches and chairs, then we like to start talking about doing a thermal or a heat treatment.
We've been talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians about treatment options for bed bugs. We're going to be continuing the conversation in our next episode, and we're going to be talking about higher level infestations. You won't want to miss it here on Apartment Living Radio. Join the conversation by visiting apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find our show notes with all the resources and insights, as well as connect to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and even subscribe to this station on iTunes.
Apartment Living Radio.
We're so glad you've chosen to join us on this Best of series on Don't Let the Bed Bugs Bite. We've been having a good time talking to P.R. Olson on the topic, and he is sharing a lot of great insights into the world of bed bugs and treatment options. We're going to go back to some more treatment options right now.
Apartment Living Radio.
In this segment of Apartment Living Radio, Treating Bed Bugs, Part 2. We're continuing our conversation with P.R. Olson of Olson Pest Technicians about treatment for a bed bug problem. In our last episode, we dealt with low-level infestations and using chemical and dust treatments, as well as higher infestations where a thermal treatment was called for. Tell us more about why a thermal treatment might be called for. We are dealing with bed bugs. We don't usually think of them as bugs that live in other types of furniture, but we understand that they can be present and that can warrant a higher level of treatment.
Bed bugs are looking for a blood meal. We've seen them even a lot of times. People take naps and so forth in lazy boys. So we've seen bed bugs in lazy boy chairs, that type of thing. So once we start seeing bugs in those type of chairs and so forth, it's either we need to do a heat treatment on that, and even sometimes we still tell people they need to actually dispose of or get rid of that furniture.
So if furniture has gotten infested, it can be difficult enough to get it out of there that it's maybe smarter to just get new furniture.
That is correct. That's where these bed bugs, how they're getting transported. People will get rid of their infested furniture or infested mattress and box spring and set it out on the curb. And somebody will drive by and say, hey, there's a free bed. And then they'll pick it up, or a chair, nice looking chair, and not thinking that it's got bed bugs in it. And next thing you know, they're taken into their home and things get worse.
So you want to be pretty careful about even a good deal on a piece of furniture might not end up being such a good deal if it's come out of a home that's had bed bugs.
That is correct.
How long would you wait to replace furniture if you had just done a treatment on an apartment or a home somewhere?
We would like to give it anywhere from 3 to 6 months, because the same thing, if you bring in new furniture or something, a used piece, you may be reintroducing bed bugs to your home before you even get rid of them again. We want to make sure when we do treatments that people don't move anything new or used back into the home until we know the bed bugs are gone.
How do you know when the bed bugs are actually gone?
Well, the big thing that we look for is that there's no bites, that people aren't getting bit anymore. That's the big thing that we look for. Once we know that people aren't getting bit, then we know there's no bugs. We use a product called Climb Up Interceptors that we can put underneath beds to basically monitor for bed bugs. There are some new monitors out on the market that we use that basically imitate. They give off CO2 and then they give off a human scent, and they help us monitor and catch bed bugs. So there are ways of monitoring for bed bugs as well.
Can you tell us again if they like expensive apartments or expensive homes or inexpensive, or where they like to live the best?
Bed bugs are non-discriminating. They will not discriminate between a $50,000 house and a $500,000 house. It's not about the house. It's not about sanitation conditions or cleanliness inside that home. They are just basically looking for a blood meal or a human to live off of. So if there's humans living inside that structure, we will have bed bugs. It's just truly a very emotional issue when people are talking about sleeping and there's bugs where they're trying to sleep and they're not getting good sleep. So it's a very emotional issue.
You could say that by eradicating a bed bug problem, you're actually helping them sleep better at night.
Olson Pest Technicians enhance people's quality of life.
And you actually do that while making it difficult for bed bugs to live. Interesting topic today on Apartment Living Radio. It's been about the treatment of bed bugs. We've been talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. You can find out more information about Olson Pest Technicians in our show notes page. And we have some other resources there as far as bed bug informational resources that PR and his team have identified. And you can go there and learn more about those. So I want to thank you, PR, for your participation today, for your interview. It's been very good to talk to you and to get your insights on the world of pest control and bed bugs.
You're welcome, Craig, and don't let the bed bugs bite.
And if they do, squish them with your shoe and fry them up for breakfast in the morning. Thanks a lot, PR, and thanks for tuning into this edition of Apartment Living Radio. Special thanks to PR Olson from Olson Pest Technicians. Join the conversation. Our website is apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find the show notes for this series, learn more about our sponsors, connect to Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to this station on iTunes.
Apartment Living Radio.
Again, our web address is apartmentlivingradio.com. Find us on Twitter at twitter.com/APT Living Radio. or it's the @ sign if you're one of the Twitter sphere people. It's at aptlivingradio.com. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/apartmentlivingradio. Right now, enjoy this song called Tall, Duck, and Handsome.
Apartment Living Radio.
On this episode of Apartment Living Radio, power user tips for finding out if bed bugs are present. Today we're talking to P.R. Olson from Olson Pest Technicians, and he has identified another way to do an inspection on your property, on your apartment, on anywhere people live, to determine if there may be bed bugs present. Hello, PR. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Craig. Great to talk with you again.
First of all, we had an episode about identifying whether bed bugs are present. And then we did an episode talking about treatment options. And I think you had noted that there were some other power user ways to do alternate inspections and things like that. Tell us a little bit more about what you're finding there in the market.
You bet. You could do a physical visual inspection for bed bugs. And we've talked about those low-level infestation of bed bugs is just very tough to find. Another avenue for inspecting for bed bugs is using a canine unit, which basically a dog. Their nose is so much more sensitive than a human nose. They can smell those bed bugs and find bed bugs that way.
So it's a specially trained dog to recognize their scent?
Yes. Bed bugs, just about like anything, give off an odor, and so those dogs can be trained to find bed bugs as well.
This would be a great way to do an inspection of a property or an apartment structure or any number of things, correct?
Just another tool to help with the control and finding of bed bugs.
I suppose the best way to get rid of bed bugs is to find them first, right?
Identify, identify, identify.
Well, that sounds like a real power user tip. I want to thank you for providing us with that. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Apartment Living Radio. Thanks again, PR.
You're welcome, Craig.
Join the conversation. Our website is apartmentlivingradio.com. You can find the show notes for this series, learn more about our sponsors, Olson Pest Technicians, connect to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and even subscribe to this station on iTunes. Thanks for joining us.
Apartment Living Radio.
That was called Poetic Tones. We've enjoyed listening to P.R. Olson today from Olson Pest Technicians. They are at 1-800-KILBUGS.com, and their phone number is 1-800-KILBUGS. You can check in with them at any time. Thanks again for joining us on Apartment Living Radio. I've been your host, Craig Johnson, and we are at apartmentlivingradio.com. Our Twitter feed is APT Living Radio, and find us on Facebook and connect to us on iTunes if you like. Thanks again for joining us.
Apartment Living Radio.